Well, good morning, neighbor. At least where I'm sitting right now, it's morning. Beautiful day. Spring is upon us. And I love that the dogwoods this year actually bloomed Christmas weekend. Christmas. Did I say Christmas? Did y'all hear me say Christmas? I told you it was early in the morning, didn't I? Bless him, Lord. He don't make no harm. Easter weekend, we had dogwood blooms. I love that on the trail where I walk. It just creates a whole different look. You know what I mean? If you got them in your yard, like I wish I had a yard to put mine in, you know. Well, last week I told you about, and I say last week, and I have no idea how often we're going to do these. We're still working on that. But I told you about a fellow by the name of Master Sergeant Olin Williams. That is a powerful story right there. But this week I want to make it a little more personal for you. I've got a flag right here that came to me at the request of my uncle. His name was James Ogle. He served in the United States Army. He did 3 tours in Vietnam. He was involved in the Tet Offensive. That's the battle that eventually turned this country completely against the war. Even though we won the cotton picking battle, for every soldier we lost, the other side lost 3. And yet, war is war and it's bloody, and Vietnam was played out on the televisions of America, you know. And so we eventually had to leave that conflict. I'm going to say this. I'm going to make some folks mad, but I'm going to say this. This country has never had a military conflict that it could not win, hands down, if politicians got out of the way and let the military do what they can do. It may not be that way anymore. China just about caught up to us. And there you go. We did have that political argument all day. But Uncle James was my friend, not just my uncle. He was my friend. He and I had some experiences. When I was younger and dumber than I am now, I would bet on a football game from time to time. Uncle James always got the best of me. He did. Alabama, he and I both were big Alabama fans. I went into the bowling alley one day, and there he sat, getting ready to bowl. And Alabama was playing Vanderbilt that weekend. And he said, I'll give you a bet you can't turn down. I said, try it. He said, all right, Alabama plays Vanderbilt. I'm going to give you Vanderbilt and 60 points. And I thought for a minute, I said, 60 points? Oh, they're going to crush Vanderbilt. I know that, but 60 points. I said, all right, I'll take that bet. Now, your beeswax, how much? Let's just say it was worth it. So what did Alabama do? We go out and beat Vanderbilt something like 72-0. I said, Lord have mercy. And he just laughed. Now, Uncle James enjoyed to go down to Columbus, Georgia. Now, he did some of his training at Fort Benning, right? And so for years after he retired from the Army, he would go down there and spend the weekend. I would take him down there, and there was a specific place where he spent his weekends. It was called the Heart of Dixie Motel. So he'd get him a room. I would take him down there maybe on a Friday or a Saturday, and I'd go back and get him Sunday morning. And I will never forget one Sunday morning, I got up and I discovered, golly, I'm running a little late. And I had an experience getting down to Columbus, Georgia. I almost hit a deer. It was raining crazy hard. And this deer ran out in front of me, and I almost hydroplaned trying to miss that deer. I got through that, and I got down to Columbus, Georgia, and I went to the room that he took as his room for the weekend, and I knocked on the door, no answer, and I knocked on the door, no answer. Well, I got concerned. I went to the office. I said, I put my uncle out here yesterday, and I'm not getting him to come to the door. I know he's there. The manager looks at the log there. He says, there's nobody in that room. I said, well, I know I put him out in that room. He said, well, let's go look. And we went and looked. The room was just as though nobody had been in it. Had all beds made and everything. And I said, now I'm concerned. I mean, you put somebody out in Columbus, Georgia, and they're walking or getting a taxi or whatever, you don't know. You don't know what to expect. I said, well, let me make a phone call. So I found a payphone, and I called. He lived with my Uncle Sonny and Aunt Sarah till the day he died. I called their house. He picked the phone up. Hello? I said, where are you at? I'm at home. Where are you at? Columbus, Georgia, trying to pick you up. He began to apologize. He said, I wouldn't have done that for nothing. I came home the same night you took me down there. I decided I didn't want to stay. And so for years, he said, I'll pay you. I'll pay you for your gas. I said, no, you won't do it. And so I missed Sunday school that Sunday morning, but I made it back to church. And we spent many, many times over the years laughing about that incident. And I hope that deer had a good long life, because it nearly took mine on that rainy road that day and me hurrying to get down to Columbus, Georgia. My fondest memory of Uncle James, he never learned to drive, walked there where he went. And on the mill village where we lived, Tallahassee Street, there were sewers, right? And when I go there now and I look at that thing, I think, how in the world did I fit down there? That's such a small thing. But as a little boy, I could actually scoot down in that sewer, and I used it as a pillbox. I was looking out spying my enemy. And I can remember Uncle James walking down the road, and he's in his dress uniform, walking back to Papa's house, I guess. And I remember hearing my mother say, he was not even here to say bye. He said, and Uncle James said, I saw him. He's in the sewer right there watching me. And off he went. And I'll tell you something else. I don't think I've ever told this story outside of the family, but so you know what a soldier goes through. Uncle James came home from right off the front. Now, he loved kids. All his life, he'd spoil your young and you let him make a friend out of it. He just spoiled. And all of us cousins, and of course, Uncle Sonny and Aunt Sarah had a son and daughter too. At this time, they lived in Langdale, Papa did, and the kids next door would come over and play with him, and he loved it. But one day, he was laying on the couch asleep. The kids came over wanting to play, couldn't get him to come to the door, peeped in the window, saw him asleep. And one of them thought it would be a really neat idea if they just rolled a cherry bomb up under the house and let it go off. How y'all think that went? That thing went off and Uncle James hit the deck. Diving for cover. He come to himself and heard the kids laughing out there. And before he could stop himself, he done run out there and grabbed the oldest one up and just shook him and told him what for, scared him to death. Off into his house he goes crying. Uncle James went into the house, got himself a drink, sat down on the couch. He's trying to get his nerves in order, And the kid's daddy comes over and knocks on the door, and James goes to the door and he said, James, what happened over here? And Uncle James just started to tell him a thing too. He said, James, hold on. I just need to know what happened. And Uncle James told him the whole 9 yards, everything that happened. And this daddy looked at my uncle and he said, that's all I need to know. I'll take it from here. He took that son of his home and he beat the fire out of him. Spanked him. I know you Yankees don't like none of that, but bless your heart, go suck your thumb. It'll be okay. That boy got shook half to death and he got the spanking of a lifetime that day for the same offense. I don't recollect any more talk during Papa's time there in Langdale in that house, where there was any fireworks that went off anywhere around that house. And see, that brings me to something I want to say to you. I won't back up, back down, or back out. In the mill villages, we respected our soldiers. I've heard stories all my life about soldiers, had testimony from guys that came home from Vietnam and they were spat on and cursed. Just ungodly stuff. The big double-decker planes they used to have, there was a unit, an entire unit coming home together. Had to ride in the upstairs part of that plane and let off last so there wouldn't be any trouble on the way out. In the mill villages, we didn't do that. You can get in trouble real quick disrespecting any of our military people. When they came home, as they left, it didn't matter. We loved our soldiers, and they knew we loved them, and they were glad to come home. They didn't dread coming home like some of you city slicker soldiers did. Our people knew they were coming to a safe place where they would be loved and cared for after they served in the hell that they had to serve in. I have no patience to this day for anybody who disrespects our military or disrespects our flag. I am honored that my uncle wanted me to have this flag, and I will protect this flag with my life if it's necessary, because the flag means something to me. Now, I didn't know if I was going to do this or not, but I think I will. I wrote a little something. As I reflect back, my brother and his wife served in the Army. My sister and her husband served in the Air Force. I have a cousin who served in the Marine Corps. I told you before, my dad was in Korea, so was Walter, his brother, and Uncle James, 2 tours in Vietnam. My Uncle Pep in the Navy in World War II. Veterans everywhere you look in my family. Wasn't sure if I was going to do this or not, but I think I will. Yeah, I've told you I'm a novice writer. And when you're a writer, words come to your mind, and if you got nothing to do but write them down. I mean, I want to believe, I do believe, that the Lord gives me these words. And I've learned to write them down, especially now that I'm in the vintage section of my life. If you don't write them down while you're thinking it, you're not going to write them down because they'll just fly away. So I wrote these words down, thinking about the service of people that I love and for people I'll never meet. People like Olin Williams. All the countless multiples of thousands of men and women who have served this country so faithfully. And I wrote this, I guess, 2 years ago. I'm going to share it publicly for the first time. Wish I had a guitar or something here with me, but I don't. But this is called I Am the Free. You are the brave. If you serve this country, if you've ever served this country, this is for you. We love you. I have some heroes. Some are obvious. For example, my mother taught me unconditional love. And my dad taught me the value of hard work and sacrifice. From both I learned my faith in God above. Then there was Brother Charlie. He was our church pastor several years, but more than that, he was a lifelong friend to me. But as much as these my heroes have always been the patriot soldiers who have fought and died to keep our nation free. Guys, I am the free, but you are the brave. I can live my life in freedom because of the sacrifices you've made. You have always worn honor and wore it well. You've been willing to storm the gates of hell so that freedom can remain for folk like me. Oh, I am the free. You are the brave. Let me just say about this. I want to talk to folks that hate this country. Listen to me. It grieves me, friends, to see somebody burn our nation's flag. Then they'll say, it's my First Amendment right to do this thing. I wonder, could they look that soldier in the eye who died at Normandy? Could they look that soldier in the eye who died at Chosin River? Could they look that soldier in the eye who died in the Tet Offensive? Or could they look that soldier in the eye who died in Desert Storm? Could they say those words to him and just never blink? And I just wonder, would that old soldier start to cry? Or would he slap the fool who dared defile the flag he bled and died to save? As for me, I'll always have a fervent reverence for Old Glory and the soldiers who still fight for her today, because I am the free. But you are the brave. I can live my life in freedom only because of the sacrifices you've made. You have always worn honor and you wore it well. You've been willing to storm the gates of hell so that freedom could remain for folk like me. Oh yeah, I am the free. But you, make no mistake, men and women, you who served, you are the brave. And you that spit on our flag and hate our veterans, don't you do it around me. It won't be a good day for you, old buddy. It really won't. God bless your heart. I know that was emotional. For me it was. Probably for some of y'all it was. But I make no apologies. In this whole series, we're going to talk about things that I'm just set in stone on. I will not be moved from. Respect for our flag and love for our hero soldiers are two of the biggest. You come back and see me again next time. We'll have a little fun, okay? God bless your heart for being here. Bye-bye.